The weather on September 21st, 1989 started off not much different than any other late summer or early fall day. But that all began to change quickly as nighttime approached. For those that decided to stay, it was certainly a night they will never forget.
It's not what it looks like, really, it's what it sounds like, because it was, the eye came over at midnight, so things started getting really bad about 9:30. I just come in from visiting shelters in the nick of time.
Late Thursday evening when things were starting to get real bad, we had media from all over the country. We set them up in a like a warehouse, metal type building that is used day to day to store the voting machines for the county. And so we had them kind of set up in a corner in that room, in that building, you know, got them like a media setup type thing. And then when things started getting bad, we thought, well, this building's not going to last. Let's bring them into the cinder block building that we were in and just kind of pack them in the hallway like sardines.
Our challenge was just logistically staying on the air, making sure that we were still on the air, but being able to move location because we were in harm's way ourselves. And we just left and we moved our operation over to the EOC, and then we got blown off the air after that.
When it was full force over us, we were very afraid. We were inside of a home that, of course, all of us were in closets at one point because we were afraid the roof was just going to blow off the house.
It was the sound, the sound of wind at that speed was like a freight train, you know, coming along.
It sounded like a train or of an engine running. And it was very, very loud. And before you know it, the windows start breaking and scattering, and you could hear the sounds of tins torn off trailers.
We couldn't get out of the house because I guess it was the wind pushing against the house. And every time we tried to get the door open, the suction would keep the door from opening.
The one call I remember the most at that time was Dick Chanot, which was the chief meteorologist for the Charleston office at that time. In the background on his side of the phone call, the building that they were in at the time, it just sounded like rumbling thunder because the metal walls on that building were just rattling. I mean, and he was having to yell to me for me to even hear him. And basically we ended that call, so both said, see you when we see you, when this is all over, bye, and hung up.
Dick Chanot, who was the MIC, the meteorologist in charge at that time, he was leading the way, and it was a frightening night for a bunch of guys who know all about this stuff. But when the wind started, kind of the glass was starting to bow in and out, and the winds were trying to blow the roof off, it was pretty scary.
Looking out the windows, you could see the oak tree in the front and the oak tree in the back just going down like this and then coming up. These are trees that didn't normally move very much.
We got to Georgetown High, and here I am thinking that we would be laying on cots and stuff. We had to sit on that cold floor, and just to hear the wind going across that roof, it was very hysterical. I mean, I was through. I couldn't do anything all night long but just look up at the roof.
Things started happening to the building. The ceiling tiles, the roof started peeling off.
When the storm hit, and we were in this building, the roof came off.
We literally evacuated the whole place to include all the media. We were very appreciative of the media at that time because those cameras that they threw over their shoulders had the spotlights, and that's all we had to see by.
It was a night strike. It was at nighttime, so you couldn't see a lot. You know, we ended up bailing out of the EOC when the roof came off, and ended up at a hotel down the road, and it was just amazing to see the power of that storm.
The whole communication went down. We lost everything. And so we had a ham radio operator with us, and when we got over to that other location, he literally hung out of a window with like a handheld walkie-talkie type ham radio, and through the ham radio network relayed from us to the state emergency management in Columbia that we had to evacuate, we're at this location, and everybody's safe.
The backside of the storm lasted a long time, so it was I came over at midnight, and it was about 5:20 before it was safe to go out.
In Hugo, Charleston was actually quite lucky in one regard. The eye of the hurricane passed over Charleston. The strongest winds and the highest storm surge were about 15 to 20 miles up to the northeast of Charleston, up towards McClellanville and the Francis Marion National Forest.
We were getting calls in from all over the county, primarily up in the northern end where McClellanville and the Allendale area, because we all know that was the worst hit area. As far as storm surge and the wind speed, and you know, it's on, as I like to say, it was on the bad side of the storm. And so we started getting calls in, we started getting responders out, you know, law enforcement started getting out when they could.
After a terrifying night of rising waters, howling winds, and pounding rain, the storm began to slowly pull away from Charleston around daybreak on September 22nd, continuing its wrath well inland. As daylight broke, it revealed what many had feared.